Zerg number 2 for Team StarTale. Life did not cut it. Parting was not strong enough. Maybe it's the third player for Team StarTale that can give them the first map win. It is...
StarTale! Curious!
Another Zerg versus Terran.
You know the bangs just barely go over his eyebrows. His opponent, of course, to the bottom right in blue. Currently up to 2 kills. Can he get the third? He is.
FXOpen!
Without the towel this time on the mouse. What is the disease called again? Or the condition that he has?
I don't actually know what it's called. It's...
I have no idea what it's in English. I thought you knew, and yeah.
It's something like hyperhidrosis or something like that. I'm not actually sure if that's it.
Just the information for the newer viewers amongst you. He actually has a condition because his hands, his palms are really, really sweaty. This is why he uses the towel. It's not like a stylistic choice.
Yeah, and there's actually a lot of people. I know several friends who have the same condition, and it's definitely something that you can cope with, but it's not fun to have that. And to be a pro gamer, it's even more difficult, so props to him for actually coming through on that.
If I am curious, I'm scared.
I am too. I do not want to deal with the drops. I may want to kill him before Starport Tech is out.
It's just he played so well, GOMTV that is. It's not like his opponents played bad. He forced the mistakes.
Yeah. Great multitasking. The orbital here slightly delayed by that depot, but that's okay. And the drone is going to try to make something happen before it gets killed by that Marine, but he's trapped inside.
What we have in this team match is play on the highest level. There are a lot of other tournaments going on right now, but I feel that this is just absolutely epic what we've seen so far. Live versus GOMTV was a treat, and Parting versus GOMTV was also a very, very exciting game.
If you consider the players on both of these benches and who we could see and who we've already seen, yeah, this is definitely the highest level play. By the way,
nice.
I hope many of you have been looking at that Black Friday sale. Many of you probably already made a purchase. There's still a few hours left on that as far as I know, so definitely go and look that up and take your 50% off and buy it, tell your friends.
There's a lot of information on GOMTV.net. If you just check it out, I feel it's right on the main page. The drone is still alive.
Yeah.
Did not try to rebuild this extractor. Just going and having a quick look if there is... No, actually, that doesn't make any sense because, yeah, there's nothing to see. He doesn't have gas, so there can't be an add-on, and it's very unlikely that the depot is lowered and he gets out.
He was hoping maybe to see a third command center. That's the only thing he'd hope for, which is actually what we are going to see come up here now. He also would have hoped to see maybe some extra barracks going down.
GOMTV is scouting everywhere with this Marine.
A great job of scouting denial by GOMTV.
The Overlord at the bottom right has seen the command center. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
He should have seen it.
I'm sure he's seen it. Even if he hasn't, he knows.
Yeah, Legend pointed it out, but I just missed it when he came back into the observer vision.
Yeah, he saw it, and even if he hadn't seen it physically, he would have known it was there based on the build he saw.
Yeah. We have the double queen now being built. Of course, also 2 bases for Curious, who has to be very careful about what he tries to execute here. On a map like Muspelheim, there are so many things that you can do. Mutalisks on this map are not too shabby. You can actually use them really well, but most players try to work with Infestors and try to put pressure on, especially since the third base is not that easy to get for a Terran player.
Yeah. And Muspelheim has a lot of space around the bases, so that can be good or bad for drops depending on how you defend against them. You got to make sure you've got Overlords to spot, because if you have Overlords to spot, someone drops on the edge, that actually gives you more time to defend. But if you don't have anything to spot, that allows people to drop off completely before you can get into the base, and that could be a problem as well.
Curious drops 3 gas. So far he has played gasless, is taking his 3rd as we speak, and taking the 4th gas too. So a lot of gas mining going on for him. He has a bit of a lead here, of course, in the overall supply, thanks to his drone supply, that is. And he expects a few Hellions to just poke, which is why he builds this first spine crawler.
Yeah, very careful.
Double upgrades very fast here for GOMTV. Remember on game 1 against Live, he completely skipped the tanks. He went straight into upgrades and ghosts.
Yeah, and he's doing something very similar here. And I don't think that we're going to see Curious actually punish him for it because he doesn't know. If you know that someone goes late on the siege tanks, you can try to hit very aggressive timings to punish them, especially if you know there's a fast third command center with it. But in this case, since he doesn't know, he just kind of has to play a little bit blindly and hope for the best.
Roach Baneling is so strong if there are no siege tanks. If you don't have Marauders too, then it's kind of the deadly composition that will kill you. It's so hard to defend without either siege tanks and Marauders. I think it's actually kind of impossible. You have to have the bunkers on the high ground, you have to have the best positioning ever. So this is a very dangerous style that he could play. But as Curious doesn't really have the scouting information that he wants and doesn't want to be too risky, he is not doing it. He's building the Baneling Nest because he needs it to defend against biopressure. It's also quite helpful against huge amounts of Hellions. But he's going into the tech, researching +1/+1. But you can already see how Gumiho is ahead in this. He's going for not only +1/+1, but adding the armory at a nice time so that he can go straight into +2/+2, using all this excess gas that he has.
Yeah.
And no tanks.
No tanks at all. He's got this 1-1 out now very early with a few Marines and the Hellions. He could try to put some pressure on against the creep with these upgraded units, but one thing I want to point out that we saw earlier is that the wall is not tight. He needs to realize that, because if he doesn't notice that and a bunch of links run by into his main, that could be a problem. Or into his natural, really.
What do you mean?
Again, the main. His supply depot wall actually has a gap.
Are you sure about
that?
that?
Yeah, absolutely sure. Watch, you're going to see it right now. See those SCVs going out?
Top, yeah.
See, that's very dangerous if he doesn't realize that.
I thought you meant next to the bunker, and I'm like, no, that's fine, and I didn't see the supply depot at the top right at all. Yeah. There's the Infestor tech, which is quite common for this map, so we see occasionally Mutalisks, but usually the Zergs will go into Infestors. And I feel as soon as Gumiho identifies it, he will go for the Ghost Academy again. He really seems to like this style, and it worked well against Life, so why not against Curious?
Yeah. I mean, I said it earlier, and I really feel this is a point that needs to be emphasized, is when you have, hold that thought, there's so many links are going to die here. That's unfortunate. When you have Vikings to deal with Broodlords, he's already going to have Corruptors because they have multiple utilities. They can kill your Vikings, and also they become Broodlords later. And help kill your medevacs and things like that. But when you have Ghosts, you don't really have the opportunity to build a unit that's specifically good against Ghosts. Unless you like neural a Ghost and EMPL the Ghost, which is never going to happen, you're really in trouble against that type of composition.
The second Spinecrawler is now also going down. He wants to be defensive at the third. Goes for all these upgrades, Curious that is. Really interesting is, at least to me, that Gumiho is giving him a lot of breathing room here. No aggression whatsoever. He's just now moving out for the first time with a few Marines, now that he has the first two Medivacs. This is the time when he can start to clean up a few of the tumors. But the Infestors will be out soon, so he has to be careful that he doesn't get fungal. But the creep spread very well. 3 bases, a 4th being built, so he has to be careful here.
Yeah, and he loses his Hellions in a group here. This is very unfortunate.
Tanks.
He's making tanks this time, not cutting them out. He's got a second factory coming up as well as the +1 for his siege tanks, so he's definitely going to be committing to them pretty heavily. Yeah,
and this of course also binds a lot of his gas, and therefore the Ghost transition will be very, very difficult for him. He can add them later on if he sees a need for it, but he might just go and stick to a more normal style here. Whereas Curious is going straight for the Hive at 12 minutes, is still spreading creep. Pretty crazy actually, really good creep spread for him.
Yeah.
And +2/+2 coming up for both players, but once more, Gumiho a little bit faster.
A little bit faster, and this drop that's coming through is going to be spotted by the Overlords on the edge. This is what I was talking about earlier, so he has enough time to react, and a fungal would lock it down. He gets it, but it should actually be able to escape.
He needs a second fungal, yeah, doesn't have the energy.
Nicely done. He unloads here, which I find a little bit odd.
The Spire timing, of course, coincidence with the Hive a bit later, but still he will go into the Greater Spire here.
And the wall, he fixed it from earlier, but he had not raised it just enough.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Curious moving in and then thinking the wall is completely shut, but then he realized there's a gap moving in, but the small hesitation allows his opponent to go in. The problem is really that getting those in, getting those SCVs out is nearly impossible.
And Curious actually saves both Infestors here, which is really important. I thought he was going to lose those, so he gets all the SCVs. This puts him way ahead in this game.
He killed so much. He killed 18 workers, 18 SCVs, and also, of course, he forced a lift on the command center itself, on the orbital, and he took down quite a few Marines, so this was an awesome attack.
Some depots going down as well. This may become important later. The dropship here looks like it's not going to get out. Oh, barely.
Curious is doing much better with these multi-pronged defenses than his, than parting in life for his two teammates.
Yeah, and I think the map is part of that, but also his defense reaction time is really nice. Needs to repair that depot. Barely gets it repaired in time.
Yeah, this time it doesn't look like Curious' attack will... yeah, it won't do too much. There's already a force for Gumiho out on the map. He tries to run past them though, but Gumiho, yeah, he immediately walks back, tries to cut them off.
Yep, really
not too
nicely done.
Not too much of commitment of Curious here.
Yeah, and Gumiho he's got enough Marine Sim to not worry anymore. Scan goes down. And he's cleared up a lot of this creep, but even though he has, Curious' creep has been so insane that there's still a great amount of it to the right side.
Also, both of them with the +3 upgrades on the production tab. It's of course really important. No Adrenal Glance though, a bit of a commitment by Curious, who tries to take down these Bio Forces. And once more we have Gumiho back in supply. He's at 130 against 170, so far behind, and he loses so many Harvesters.
I think he
might have lost the game.
He can't really recover from this, unless he does a ton of damage here with this massive drop at the main base, even with siege tanks, but everything dies here, and Gumiho may actually be done with his run now.
Yeah, I think he actually is. There are already a few Zerglings at the natural, still taking down workers. The worker count is down to 22, and Curious did really clean these units in the main base up, at least most of them. Now the Corruptors are taking part in the battle. Take down Medivac after Medivac, and the ground forces are already destroyed.
Yep. Another attack here at natural. He's going to clean up some drones, but then he's going to have to probably type GG.
GG, there it is. Curious stops Gumiho. That was a nice run for the Terran player. But it's Curious who says, no, this is it. This is as far as you go. Yep, there's this Curious smirk that he always has.
Yeah. He doesn't smile often, but when he does, it's like that. Well, Curious putting them back onto the scoreboard here. But he doesn't take a lead for his team. He's going to have to do a little bit more if he wants to get that.
That was really important though. This win was needed, and Curious, he did the job. Now it's time for FXO to decide the second player. Who is going to face Curious right now? Could be Tyr.
Tyr makes sense to me. I could see Lucky as well, actually, coming out for his ZVZ, but it is kind of a tough choice, but they're pretty happy still with what Gumiho has been able to accomplish, I feel.
Yeah, Gumiho did really well. It's not only the 2 points that you win, you know, it's just eliminating Parting and Life, so you don't have to worry about Parting's Immortal push later against one of your Zerg players. So this was really, really important, and it comes down to the strategy for the team match itself. But now FXO has to find the second player. It could be Tyr, that would be a good option here, but still, they have a lot of players to choose from, a lot of Zerg players today, so Lucky might also be an option, you're right. It's going to be an interesting choice though, and Choya definitely talked to his team when he realized, well, this doesn't go too well for Gumiho, so we have to think about our next player.
I don't think we're going to see, you know, Sirius is someone we might see today, but I don't think we're going to see him in ZVZ. He seems to be a little bit weak there.
Ohana is the map. We already got our invite. Lucky sits to the top right, but no, it's not Lucky.
ASD.
It's another Terran player.
Interesting. ASD more known for his timing attacks against Protoss, not so much in this matchup.
Ohana being the map that he chose to face Curious. And guys, of course, now with the third match over, we will head into another short break before we start with the next game. It's going once again being a Terran versus Zerg. This time it is ASD who has to face Curious, not Gumiho. Will he do a little bit better than his teammate? We're going to find out. Is StarTale tying up the series or FXO getting farther ahead? We'll find out after a 5-minute break at the GSTL with Alan Wolf.